Hello everybody, welcome back to Clearblock Productions, and it absolutely fills my heart with joy to say it. Welcome back to the original Gregsville Sub. So this video is going to be a lot of me talking about not what I'm doing in game, because I have a lot to explain, a lot of things to go over, and there's just a lot of like terraforming and things that I'm doing in game that are not exactly the key talking points. So one of my buddies, huge shout out to him, Southern Kansas Rail fan, had one of my old Gregsville saves, like old Gregsville saves, like forever ago, like before I want to say the first Real Fan video, like one of my old Gregsville saves. And I thought to myself, why not? I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get back into the original Gregsville. I'm gonna rebuild the original Gregsville. I'm gonna get it good. I finally have all my computer troubles figured out. I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna fix everything, I'm gonna make it right, and I'm gonna make a build video out of it. I'm gonna whatever. So we get a lot of big groundwork stuff done. I have yet to record the cinematics, so I have no idea what those look like. Obviously, I don't even know why I said that. This is roughly like a 25-minute video, so if you get sick of my voice, don't blame you. But hopefully you guys enjoy my narration or whatever, because I've gotten some feedback from some of my subscribers that you guys tend to watch my videos for just to have my videos on in the background and build, which is a lot like what I like to do. And there's not a lot of YouTubers that do that, especially not in this game, so I figured, why not? I'm gonna go ahead and give it my best shot and give y'all what you want. So we are in Gregsville. We are on the Gregsville Sub. This is happening. I don't really have a name for this town yet. If I can remember, I think it's Newman Gravel. Let me go to my notes real quick. All right, so it took me forever to find it. I actually had to go to my first video that actually really blew up on the Gregsville, to find out what the name of the gravel plant was, because I completely forgot. So in my notes, it says that Newman Gravel serves both CSX and NS, pushing out roughly 2 trains a day for each route. So here we are. This is Newman Gravel. I had never modeled it on the Gregsville. I had always just had it as like, yeah, that's going to be an operation I'm going to put in later. But I had made a really shoddy attempt at trying to make Newman Gravel, but I never put much effort into it, because from this town, which I don't have named yet, all the way to the river right before Kikini, I thought, like, man, I did so much terraforming, and back in Trainz 2019, terraforming was a pain because the circle radius was so small. I was like, I'm not redoing those mountains. I'm just gonna keep the track layout I have, and the track layout was garbage. So it did not allow me to put the Newman Gravel anywhere. But I think this spot on the route in particular is a really good spot for it, and I think it ends up turning out pretty good. I get it somewhat roughed in, and then I move on to other things back down the mountain. So yeah, just doing some track laying, trying to figure out, for operational purposes and for switching purposes, what track layout I like the most. Most of the time, at least in Railfan videos and stuff like that, it's going to be filmed or switched out with a -3, SD40-3. And you can see here just how easy it is to terraform in Trainz 22. I mean, like, look at that. That's a whole mountain ridge line, and I just made it in like 2 passes. Like, I absolutely adore the terrain tool in Trainz 2022. It's amazing. That was me going down to a farm and seeing that I use PBR textures. I don't like PBR textures personally, nothing against them. I don't know who made them or whatever, but not a big fan, so I kind of just tend to stay away from those, because 3D textures don't really mesh well yet. Until everything's finalized, I'm not gonna mess with that. So yeah, this town is at the far north bottom of the hill. So it's at the bottom of the north slope of Lance Hill. And I was like, you know what, whatever. I'm gonna put in Newman Gravel. I'm gonna throw it down. I'm gonna see what I can make out of it, and I think it turns out really good. There's a nice little yard. I think the yard office and the details around it turn out pretty good. JR just released, well, half of it was Approach Medium's assets, like some of his houses and stuff like that. And the rest was like some of their assets, so like these big silos right here, which is perfect for a gravel company. or for a rock company that turns things into gravel, whatever. So here's me just throwing down some cars, just kind of as an aspect of seeing what the route looks like with cars on it, or just trains on it in general, because I feel like that is definitely something that you should do when building a route. I mean, of course, leave it up to your own volition. You can do whatever you want. Obviously, it's your route. But in my personal opinion, I definitely like to put down some cars in the little yards I make, or even just on some main lines, just to see how everything shapes up. Because there's been many times where I'll forget to do that, and I'll throw down some engines and stuff after, like, after I complete a scene, and I'm blown away by like the size of the engine or the lack of size that the terrain around it has. So just to keep that in perspective for yourself, it's definitely a very good idea to just throw some trains down every once in a while and check how it shapes up with your scene, because after all, that is what you're going to be doing, is running trains. So yeah, here's this little yard office thing. I will edit in after I'm done filming this first voiceover what the name of this town is going to be. I'll put that here. I ask all about it later, just bear with me. So yeah, I throw down this little shop thing where like some maintenance away equipment, or like high railers or company vehicles can be maintained. I put down some refuel racks, which you should see in a minute. I put down some refuel racks right here, just where the switchers or whatever, the locals can fuel up and kind of replenish their fuel supply to go back to whatever division point they came from, whether it be Rose Yard or Gregsville Yard. I found some of these, well, now I switched things, but those shrubs I just used are used on Scratchy's coal company, or not coal company, coal country, drawing a blank. They're used on his coal country route, which is by far one of my favorite routes. I take super heavy inspiration from, especially being a southern rail fan, rail fanning out of the south and southeast. I take huge inspiration from that, and I found those assets on his route, and they ended up looking really, really good compared to what I was using. So I was like, all right, whatever, I'm gonna throw it in. Just a little bit of shuffling around with the buildings and how the yard office is laid out, just kind of trying to figure out what I like the most. This little scene ended up being really cool. So we'll just say, whatever the story might be, they were backing some cars down into the maintenance away shop, and just kind of got out of hand. It happens in yards. So putting down some little ballast piles around the car, and just making it look like it wrecked, and they kind of just cleaned it up and scooted it to the side as CSX does. And here is one of the BDW light tower things, which I think looks really, really cool. I'm just trying to figure out what grassy textures I like the most. That's normally what I use for, I don't use JVC grasses as much, but I don't know. I like the grassy ones. They end up looking really good. I wish that the textures on the textures on like the A and B variant were better, but they're not. So I just kind of have to deal with that. So yeah, just kind of the world around the tracks never really has to be complete. I used to overwhelm myself a lot with that, because I would think, oh, okay, well, I have to make everything realistic. I have to make every road, fade off into, like, have it be a good, like, out of shot scene. I have to make power poles, like, line up with the roads everywhere. Not really. That power line I just put down ends, like, on each side of the yard. It goes nowhere. But it brings a really, really good detail aspect, and sacrificing my own pride here, and even though y'all are probably going to get this route, I just told you that to give away some of my secrets and help you guys out, so you're welcome. So New Century switch stands, they are on the download station. I absolutely love those. Some like US like point motor switch things, just your average whatever you use for switch stands and stuff like that. Something I always like to do in my yards, which you'll see here in just a second, right here, is have access roads. Most of the time, around yards, it's really all just ballast kind of everywhere, and they might have a spot where there's some concrete, like over the tracks, to make a little grade crossing or whatever, just so company trucks can get through. But it looks better in game when you have access roads, because it gives a little more context to the scene. But it makes it more realistic. You can have, if you want to like add in details later on, or like for a railfan video, if you do that, or if you ever want to do that, you can have maintenance away equipment, or like a high rail truck, like watching a train go by or something like that. Just operational stuff, make it kind of accurate. I absolutely love doing that. So access roads are a must, but at least around yards. You don't have to parallel it to the tracks the whole time, because it's not going to happen. So the palette I used for the Gregsville, at least for trees, is old as absolute crap. Like, the palette I used for trees is so old. It's STRMM trees, but it's all the STRMM trees I don't use. So it makes it kind of a pain to, put down. But here, I do a really, really tedious thing that I sometimes can't stand doing. Purely because it is extremely, extremely tedious to do, and that's just copy and pasting trees absolutely everywhere, and then kind of carving your pathway. If you want to keep your sanity, I highly advise against this. But it makes the scenes look more realistic. I don't know, just to me, it looks better. And I'd rather, spam click delete than have to move, 200, 300 trees off the right of way. Or have to, be careful around the right of way. It's kind of just a win-win situation for me personally in my build style. So yeah, just working on, lining, like I said in the first Quentin video. I just like lining things with, grasses around the cliffs and stuff. So here is a lot of the old right of way. Y'all have never seen this before. This is completely new to you guys. This was before I started, publishing Railfan videos. This was way back, man. This was back in, I think, when I posted that AC 6000 highlight video, which is so cringy to think about now. But yeah, I'm just redoing this entire south end of the map. Just cannot stand how it looked, so I'm just like, whatever. I'm just gonna redo it. So a lot of like the next 5-10 minutes is just a lot of redoing things, a lot of deleting things, putting things down, leveling things out, like you see right here. Just to have a clean slate to work with from there forwards. I really like this town at the bottom of Lance Hill right here. I don't have a name for it yet. Again, I'm sorry. But in the old Gregsville, like right as my channel started to take off, and I revamped this entire end of the map, like right as I posted would have been my first Railfan video ever, which I do not suggest going and checking out. It is absolutely awful. That's before I got my narrator voice. That's before everything. That's before I started doing anything. But right as I posted that first video, I really started cracking on actually putting in work into the Gregsville, making things look realistic, and just making the route look good. And about that time, right about where we're sitting, I deleted this entire town and worked back south to through Partridge and into Gregsville Yard. And all of this, like I said, this was a really, really old save that my buddy had. Southern Kansas Railfan, check him out. And I was just like, whatever, I have to redo it again, because I redid it in past saves, and that wasn't the particular save that my buddy had his hands on. So I had to go through and redo all this, and it kind of is nice because it gave me a fresh perspective. I can go wherever I want. I never really, except for a couple shots and like intros or cinematics here and there, I never really showed Gregsville Yard, which I'm thankful for now, because if I redid this entire map and just completely redid it, and that was like a key spot that you guys like loved watching, or like Trainz in or whatever, and I would get crap for it, but I never really showed it, which makes my life a whole lot easier. And so I'm coming through and revamping all this, and I think it ends up turning out really good. I think I put in some trees in like the behind the scene mountains, kind of like the landscape mountains behind it off camera, just because it's tedious. I might cut out some of the terraforming, because there is so much terraforming. Like, how I said, the chat sub video that was like mountains, so many mountains in the title? It doesn't even hold a candle to what I did in this video. This was like a 3-hour long recording session, I want to say, and I somehow managed to get it down to like 20 minutes, and I don't know how I did it, to be perfectly honest with you. So yeah, a lot of terraforming that I'm going to cut out of this video. Editor's note, I don't cut any of it out, because I talked to you guys about plans for the future on the channel. So yeah, stand by and continue on with the video. A lot of revamp, a lot of redoing the town, a lot of just everything. I redid so much, and I made it look new. It gives us kind of a new spot to look at on the route. I don't know the name of the town yet. Y'all can put your suggestions for the name of the town down in the description below. Let me know. Let me know both of the. Give me suggestions on both names for both towns. The one that has Newman Gravel, and the one that we're working on right now. Throw them down in the throw them down in the, I think I said description earlier. Throw them down in the comment section. And yeah, let me know. Give me some feedback. I think it'll be kind of cool to, kind of incorporate you guys to put in just a little bit of effort here on the route for me, kind of include my audience. So I'm going to take this time real quick, not to talk about a sponsor, because I'm not famous. I'm going to take this time to talk about the where we're going with the Quinton to Aaron lines. I did a lot of off-camera work, and I'm sorry about that. Just kind of getting carried away in the project a little bit. But I include a lot of really key segments in the build videos, and I meant to get a video out like 2 or 3 days ago, and I just have not gotten around to it. I've been super busy. So Quinton to Aaron video is coming soon. That it will not be long. I don't know, maybe another few days after this video drops, I'll get it out to you guys. I have like 2 or 3 videos worth recorded right now. It's just kind of sitting in my Adobe because, like I said, I've been really busy. And when I'm not busy, I just tend to, chill and just kind of enjoy my own personal time, or enjoy time with family and things like that. But yeah, so more Aaron to Quinton lines coming up. So I'm going to also take this time to kind of talk about what happened to my computer, that, made the Gregsville, irrelevant and kind of deleted everything and crushed my soul. So I'm going to start off by saying that I'm not good with, like files and config files, and especially not where things are routed to save. So most of you, like people who are good with computers down in the, comments are going to absolutely destroy me for not knowing how to do this. But I did not know how to do the config or the redirect config file to make my train game on absolutely any computer I've ever owned. Like back even when I was on like laptops, I didn't know how to do this. I had seen it in a couple of my other games, but just for some reason I could not figure it out. It was always kind of a little daunting to me. So I would have my train game on C drive. C drive would fill up because it's only like a 200 gigabyte. It's only like a 200 gigabyte drive, whereas D drive is like a solid terabyte. And I didn't know how to switch it over. So I would be good to go. I'd restart my game, start from scratch. I'd be good to go. I'd be doing everything. And then my game would corrupt because I'd run out of space, or I would try to save and reset my game and then just work on the map, and then I wouldn't save it right or something like that. So the Gregsville revamp railfan video that I posted not too long ago, that map is dead. And considering I got the new save for this Gregsville and we're starting on it, and it's this map is the original. It's kind of how I bonded with you guys. It's how you guys got me started. You guys absolutely blew my mind and blew my channel to the absolute moon, which meant the freaking world to me. So yeah, I think this is kind of a little bit of a sentimental route. So while that other route did look really good and I put in a lot of work, to it, I think this one is definitely going to be a really good project. And I think what we get done in this video turns out pretty good. So yeah, done with terraforming now. So here I'm redoing this town again. Down in the comments below, let me know what we should name this town. This is at the bottom far south end of Lance Hill. Lance Hill, I want to say, is roughly 10 to 15 miles of like 1.5 to 2% grade all the way up to Forester, which is the crest of the hill. That's where I actually got the clip that I voiceovered, that I got the name for Newman Gravel earlier in this video, because you heard me being all confused because my brain moves slow. So yeah, we are on the far south end of Lance Hill. From here, working even more south, there is Partridge, Lauren, CP Lauren, and I gotta think what else. And then Gregsville. I think it just goes straight into Gregsville, and then through Gregsville Yard, it splits, goes to a bunch of other places, whatever. That's probably where the route that at least is modeled in phase 1, if I ever get to a phase 2, which I don't think I'll ever do, because I don't know, that's a big project. I mean, the Gregsville in a whole is a big project. This is like a solid, I don't want to say too far, but like, I don't know, maybe 50 miles, 60 miles worth of track. Epilepsy warning, I do a lot of the super elevation on these tracks right here, and it pops up a little screen, so if you don't like flashy things, I would suggest skipping through this part. So yeah, again, like I said, it's just a lot of deleting things and fixing things up. This video is not necessarily again, it's kind of like a pilot video. It's kind of like a test video, a splash video to see if this is something you guys are gonna enjoy. This is the route. This is the original route that made my channel. So I'm hoping you guys are as hyped on it as I am. If you're not, let me know in the comments below. If you are, let me know in the comments below. I don't care. Just give me some feedback because I absolutely love connecting with you guys. So yeah, here it's literally just doing every single spline point as best I can to make it super elevated, so I get all my shots to look a little more realistic, because things are super elevated in real life. Not really a play on words, because it is literally called super elevation, but like super elevated, like everything's like super elevated. So yeah, just a lot of this, a lot more of this than I thought we had. Yeah, so I've ended up putting a little like 2 or 3 track yard. I don't even know. I think I ended up putting another track off of the third track that runs through this town, where they put the helpers. So trains will pull up to the big signal gantry that I put in the town. They'll run around to the back of the train and then help it up the grade and then back down the grade, run back down the grade, whatever. I'm gonna probably have 2 sets of helpers. One's gonna be in the Newman Gravel sorting yard, and then one will be in this town, which is on the far south end. So there'll be 2 helper crews on both sides, which I think will be a really cool operational aspect. Coming into this game from an operational standpoint, that's kind of how I like to make 90% of my things. I base them off of which it's not really a good thing to do, because it does create some creative difficulties at times if you don't know what you're doing. But I'll create an operational idea. That's what I did with the Quentin to Aaron. I had, I kind of mapped out the operations before I even started working on the route, of what I wanted, how I wanted to do it. And yeah, I think that's something that, you can experiment with. It works for me, so maybe it'll work for you guys. I don't know. But definitely always end up having some operational aspects. I absolutely love watching videos like Danny Harmon's videos. He's a Florida Rail fan, and he's really in depth and in detail on the operations of trains, like train numbers, and he's just check him out. He's very in depth. It's kind of hard to explain, but he's very in depth on how trains are operated and in that region or whatever, which I really like to incorporate into my build style. So here I'm kind of trying to surround the tracks with a little bit of like a residential, or not residential, a little bit of like an industrial block, which ends up looking pretty good. Like I said, I don't put a whole lot of detail in it because I had already done 3 hours worth of work and I didn't really know where to go from there. I don't think we have much left on this time lapse, so I'm gonna let the rest of this finish out over this song. I love y'all. I will see you guys in the cinematics, and yeah, enjoy the song, and I'll see y'all there. Peace for the moment, guys. If you guys like this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, all that normal YouTube garbage. More videos on the Gregsville coming soon. Don't forget to comment those 2 names for those towns. And yeah, let me know if you like this series. I love y'all, and I will see you guys in the next video. Enjoy the cinematics, and peace out.